Tansei, welcome to Métis Minute, your source for Métis news in Region 7. Happy voting season, everyone. Yes, we're back with another Region 7 Councillor candidate interview with Jessica Sauve. Those of you from the Georgian Bay Métis Council may already know Jessica as your councillor at large. Today, we sat down with Jessica to discuss her campaign and how she plans to represent all of Region 7 if elected. Yeah, so thank you, Jessica, for being with us today. I just want to give you a chance for the citizens who might not know you in Region 7. Maybe you could explain who you are, where you come from, and what your current role is.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Samantha, for having me. And bonjour, Kanchi, all my Métis citizens. My name is Jessica Sauve, and I'm a councillor at large with the Georgian Bay Métis Council at the current moment. I'm a resident of Midland, Ontario, born and raised in Penetangwishing. I'm a Drummond Island descendant from the Delaron, Beausoleil-Giroux, and Saint Ange Lafreniere family lines.
Perfect. Yeah, and you, like you were saying, you are a councillor at large for the Georgian Bay Métis Council. What made you decide to get into Métis politics by becoming a councillor and then now running for Region 7 councillor?
Sure. So just before the pandemic, I received my citizenship, although my family had had theirs for about 20 years. And the pandemic brought on new challenges for the world, things that we hadn't seen. And I was so grateful for all the assistance that I had received during the pandemic from the Métis Nation of Ontario, being a new citizen and seeing everything that the nation had to offer, was what led me to wanting to give back. So the following year, during our elections here in Georgian Bay Métis, I went for councillor at large against about 8 candidates and was successful at receiving and getting elected in at the role, and was glad to dive in and give back to the community and the nation the way I had received when I needed it the most.
Nice.
The PCMNO election
Yeah.
uh, have been something that I have been considering for a little over a year now. After being on council and seeing how it operates, how we work as a group, how we develop and build and grow and make strategies for meeting our citizens' needs, I saw an area for some improvements, some ways that we can grow and make changes where we can advocate for more, where we can provide more to more citizens, where we can seek to reach more citizens and meet their demands and needs. And doing so, I noticed that it was very difficult to cause and force change at the council level, and wanted to have the opportunity to have a voice or have my voice at the PCMNO table to bring forth some of these changes and the things that I've seen while I've been on council that could help improve the way we want to run and operate from the very top all the way down to the bottom, and then
Mhm.
from the bottom back up again. And ensuring that our citizens are heard is the most important.
Yeah, and you talked about your time giving back was your motivation for joining the Georgian Bay Métis Council. And now that you've had that position for a little while, how has that prepared you to move from the council level up to the PCMNO level?
Sure. Yeah. So I have felt that I have learned so much and grown so much. I've had the ability to work really closely with a lot of organizations in our area to bring forth activities and events to foster cultural knowledge in our area and bring citizens out. We spent a lot of time in closed doors, separated from our family, our friends, and our community. And I wanted to ensure that people knew they had a safe place where they can come and join and gather. A lot of my events and activities took place on the land, and I was able to foster a lot of negotiations with Truth and Reconciliation and getting free access and entry to a lot of places. This helped me grow and develop a communication skill that allowed me to work with organizations on the provincial and the federal level, that brought forth great relationships that I look forward to building and developing more of at the PCMNO level. Um, in that year and a half to almost 2 years, I got to meet a lot of our citizens. And I got to hear about a lot of their needs and what was going on in the community outside of what was affecting me personally as a citizen or my family. I got to see their needs and found that there's a lot of the same things. We have a
Mm,
lot of issues with housing, with homelessness, with food security, and every year it progressively keeps getting, worse and worse, right? So moving forward, it's about thinking about how we can grow to service more. I know that when we do events and activities like our Christmas hamper, to help citizens, over the holidays with expenditures of all kinds. For the last several years, we provided turkeys, a whole meal for Christmas dinner, plus a gift card to get additional items to service and feed all your family. Um, from one year to the other, we started at 100. We went to
mm,
250. Last year, we went to 500, and we certainly had stopped that after a few days. That would have grown significantly if we had kept that up. And I would like to have the ability to know going into that, that funding is available. It is prepared. It is there for us to open that application and not close it, to keep it
mm.
open and be able to service all who need it and not just a small percentage.
Yeah, and you talked about some of the issues facing Region 7, but yeah, what do you see as maybe even as a citizen yourself and as
Mhm.
someone who works at the, or is, yeah, you're a counselor at the Georgian Bay Métis Council. So either for yourself or as a counselor, what are some of the big issues that you think citizens in Region 7 are facing?
Yeah, so housing and development is a passion of mine outside of the Métis Nation of Ontario. Being in the industry for a little over a decade as an investor, as well as in mortgage and financing and real estate, I bring forth a lot of knowledge in that environment and have seen different markets across Ontario. I've lived in a few cities, as St. Catharines, and as well as Hamilton and Burlington. When I had my children, I decided it was time to come home to my grassroots, have them see what it was like to be raised in a small community where we're very close knit and help each other. And when I came home, I saw the market here struggling like it was struggling in the city to an extent that was almost worse at times. Our home buyers program is amazing, getting citizens into homes, but we still fall in a gap where we're not meeting all of our citizens. Not all can apply for that or qualify for pre-approved mortgage within our municipal standards. So there are areas of growth where we can look to service that a little bit better, a little bit more, and provide to our citizens. So housing was a big one. Um, on council, I worked as the homelessness as well as the food security. It was my committee. And I spent a lot of time on the streets, finding people in tents, distributing supplies, ensuring there was food sources, making sure that they found our programs or services through Métis Nation of Ontario to help them get back into a home, to help them get back off the street where it was cold, to ensure that they were okay and could progress forward with whatever obstacles they may have come across that led there. Unfortunately, with market values, we see an impact on housing from purchasing right down to rentals
Mm,
at extravagant prices. There's empty houses everywhere here, but no one can afford the prices in which they're charging for it, which then in turn leads to not finding something successfully and being on the street. God forbid hazards like environmental hazards and things like fires, or well, we've had several tornadoes in the last couple of years. So things like that take out parts of communities where then they're struggled and it takes months and time, and we don't have enough housing in our area. Hence why Métis Nation of Ontario is currently looking to develop up to 12 units here. And it's a great progress, and it's just the starting point as we seek a lot
mm.
more than 12 units, but it's a great way to start growing in our community. So that for me is my biggest challenge, I think, across the board for probably all of our councils in Region 7 struggle with those same things, uncontrollable market that sets us in a bad place. And we don't want any of our citizens in that area or in that place. We want to grow and strive and uplift.
Yeah, and we talked about Region 7 being like there is a large population of Métis people who live in Region 7. We've recently had some maybe boundary shifts where some citizens were moving to different councils. How do you make sure that citizens who do want to engage in their councils and are able to receive access to services and resources that maybe their council might have moved a little bit of a distance away from them from what their original council was? How do you plan on assuring that citizens who do want to be engaged and involved are still able to?
Yeah, so with the current boundary changes, which was very difficult, I agree. I feel as though those boundary changes affected not just the citizens, but the councils as well.
Mm,
Those citizens were part of a community, they were part of a council, part of an area that they were close with, just like I described about coming home with my kids and being part of this and showing them that. Um, these issues before the boundary changes were in effect already. And are very difficult to address because we can't service all of our citizens and we are not servicing all of them. I feel that the best way to improve that is to streamline more transparency, more communication, and the ability from Métis Nation of Ontario direct down to every citizen might help increase the ability to get those products and services and ensure that you're coming a distance in ways that you're going to actually be able to get those services once you
mm,
arrive. It is a much bigger problem than just the boundary. It comes back to servicing all of our citizens and not just a portion of them. Um, I hope that this is something that can be addressed as I move up as a candidate for PCMNO and have that voice to ensure that we are communicating more effectively. Our elders are not on our social media,
mm,
and it is not a place for communication that works very well for them. And that takes a lot of time to educate and bring them to a place where we are now. It is a great source for information for us to provide, but should not be the only source. And there should be an opportunity where PCMNO does bring our councils within our region together to find ways to ensure that we are doing this across the board to make sure that those citizens aren't being denied. If it is an MNO program and service that's being offered out of our office by our staff, why can't someone who is a citizen that does go closer to Barrie not seek those services out of
mm,
that office since it's coming directly from MNO? They shouldn't be restricted to have to drive an hour to come to our office
mm.
because the boundaries have placed them this way. So there are small tweaks that can be brought to the Métis Nation of Ontario to adjust this, to help improve that system and streamline how we can reach majority or most, if not all, of our citizens.
Yeah, and speaking of communication and being inclusive of all the citizens, as we move forward with Bill C-53, as a Region 7 councillor, how will you make sure that all those citizens are going to be made knowledgeable about how our self-government is moving forward? And do you think it is important that citizens become more aware of the self-government and what we're doing to get that?
Most definitely. Um, in the being present within the Métis Nation of Ontario at AGAs, and sitting with Margaret Fro and seeing the direction in which we are going, it requires our citizens' participation 100%
Mm,
because we are building our self-government off of our citizens. We've spent years doing that, servicing and finding citizen needs when it comes to all our programs and services. This is no different. The outreach for our citizens' input on how we move forward should be something that we are growing and building on, and ensuring that our PCMNO and our Métis Nation of Ontario members are coming to our regions, are coming to our councils, are having more one-on-one engagement sessions, and that ability to connect with our citizens. Self-government's not going to be done tomorrow, but it's going to take years to get there and to hear and get feedback from all our citizens. And it will take years to get everyone involved and coming forward. So I think moving forward, working a little harder at ensuring that we're providing that information and streamlining it downward, just as Margaret had asked for letters to MPs. The moment it was easy to say one letter to MP can help, we overwhelmed Parliament. So it's finding ways like that. We're acknowledge our citizens so that they have a voice and know what's going on, so they can have a powerful change for our self-government as a unity and a body, as a nation, and not just an individual.
Hmm. Yeah, and again, trying to involve citizens and making them participate in the civic process. Why is it important for citizens to participate in the PCMO election and go out and vote?
Yeah, so just like any federal government, we can watch from the sideline and have inputs, but the only way that you can cause and force change is by participating, by being part of it, by having a voice, by following the elected leaders who are looking to move up or make change, and ensuring that you are voting and representing the person you feel who's going to make the change that you want and seek for. It requires a participation, in which most tend to not really do. Politics can be sometimes very challenging and somewhat a roller coaster of negative and positive and so on. And negative can be a hard place where people don't want to be. But it's about noticing the positive momentum that we can do moving forward and how we can grow and develop a future for our generations to come. And it all comes down to ensuring that your voice is heard and voting in this year's elections for the next term.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. I think we covered most of Region 7. I'm sure there's other issues that citizens would like to ask you about, and they can meet you in person, and you're going to be at multiple events, which I'll plug a little later. But until citizens can go see you and meet you, is there any last words you'd like to leave them with?
Sure. I look forward to meeting you all in any capacity and way that I can, and hearing what your needs and concerns are as we move forward so that I can advocate for you. I know as a mother, as a wife, as a community member, as a citizen, what my needs are and what the citizens are that I have met and have been in contact with, but I want to represent all our majority. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you want as we move forward, because it's not what I want, it's what we can do for each other. So please take the time to reach out to me at 705-433-3725 or at my email at jessicasauve12@outlook.com.
We hope we were able to give you a bit of a glimpse into who this candidate is, but we are sure that you have many more questions for not only Jessica, but all of the candidates. There are a few upcoming events that give you, the voters, a chance to ask questions to the candidates in person. On April 10th, the Georgian Bay Metis Council is hosting an informal meet and greet with candidates. This will take place from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at their council office on King Street in Midland. This is the perfect chance for citizens to sit down with candidates and talk one-on-one. That way you could find out which candidate best represents you. Another chance for citizens to meet the candidates in person will be at the all candidates meeting on April 13th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in Alcona. This all candidates meeting will include Region 7 councillor candidates, as well as the candidates for PCMNO Vice Chair. Simcoe Community Media and Métis Minute will be at the all candidates meeting. So if you're unable to attend or are a little shy, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments of this video, and we'll make sure that we ask the candidates anything that you want to know. Merci for watching, and we'll see you down the river.